There is one sentence you can say tonight, right before you fall asleep, and wake up tomorrow with money already moving toward you. One sentence. That is all. And tonight, I am going to give it to you. Florence Scovel Shinn knew this secret. The moments before sleep are the most powerful moments of your entire day. So let us begin. The premise is simple. Psalm 16:7 says, "My reins also instruct me in the night seasons." Read that again. The night seasons. You are instructed in the night. The deepest work happens not in your busy waking hours, but in the quiet, as you fall asleep. And here is why. As you drift towards sleep, your conscious mind goes quiet. The doubting part of you steps aside. The critic falls asleep first, and your subconscious lies wide open. Whatever you plant in that open mind, in those final seconds, sinks deep, and it is worked on all night long. The wealthy have always known this. The last thought before sleep shapes the next day. Most people waste it. Tonight you will not. Tonight you use it on purpose. Here is the sentence. Speak it with me. Softly. I receive my good as I sleep. The night is doing the work. My word is my wand. Say it again. Let it be the last thing you carry towards sleep. I receive my good as I sleep. The night is doing the work. My word is my wand. Feel that. The sentence hands the work over to the night. No straining, no forcing. You plant the word. Sleep carries it deep. That feeling is surrender, and surrender is what lets the subconscious do what your conscious mind never could. If those words moved something in you, scroll down right now and write, "The night is doing the work." Your comment is the first planting of your own night practice, and it joins everyone speaking this before sleep tonight. Now let me give you the first piece, which is why the moments before sleep are the most powerful moments of your entire day, because almost nobody understands what is actually happening in those final minutes. All day long, your conscious mind stands guard. It filters, it doubts, it argues, and most of what you think never reaches the deep mind. It is turned away at the door. But as you drift towards sleep, that guard grows tired and steps away. And for a few minutes, the subconscious lies completely open and unguarded. Whatever thought you hold in those final waking moments walks straight through the open door and impresses itself on the deep mind, which then works on it all night while you sleep. This is why the last thought before sleep is the single most powerful thought of your entire day. And here is the tragedy. Most people waste it completely. They fall asleep worrying about money, replaying their fears, rehearsing their lack, and they spend the whole night impressing lack deep into the open subconscious. Then they wake and wonder why nothing ever changes. But Florence taught that this same power can be turned the other way, that if you fall asleep in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, in the assumption that your good has already come, you spend the entire night impressing abundance instead of lack. The night becomes your ally instead of your enemy. You are being shaped in your sleep either way. The only question is what you choose to be shaped by. And tonight, you choose abundance. And let me explain exactly what is happening in your mind during those final minutes. Because once you understand it, you will never waste another night. When you are fully awake, your brain produces fast, active brain waves, the waves of the alert, critical thinking mind. And in this state, your conscious mind is firmly in control, guarding the entrance to your subconscious. But as you begin to fall asleep, your brain waves slow down. You pass through a state the mind enters right on the edge of sleep, a drowsy, half-dreaming state, where the boundary between conscious and subconscious grows thin. And in this state, suggestions pass almost directly into the deep mind, without being filtered or argued with. This is the same state that hypnotists use to plant suggestions. Except you do not need a hypnotist. You enter this state naturally, every single night as you fall asleep, and you leave the door wide open. The only question is what walks through it. The worried person walks their fears through that open door every night. The bills, the lack, the fear of tomorrow, and the subconscious accepts these as instructions and works to produce more of them. But the person who knows this secret walks abundance through the door instead. They speak their good, they feel their wish fulfilled, and the subconscious accepts that as the instruction and works to produce that. You have a doorway to the deepest part of your mind that opens for a few minutes every single night. And Florence taught that what you do with that doorway determines the shape of your life. The second piece is why sleep itself does the work that effort never can. Because most people believe that getting what they want requires more striving, more pushing, more trying. But Florence taught the opposite. She taught that the subconscious mind is the worker, and the subconscious does its work while you rest, not while you strain. Think of how a seed grows. You do not stand over it pulling at the sprout to make it rise faster. You plant it, and you let the unseen process do the growing. The subconscious works exactly the same way. You plant the word before sleep, and then you get out of the way. You let go. You sleep. And the deep mind goes to work, arranging, connecting, drawing the good toward you through channels the conscious mind could never have planned. This is why the night practice is so powerful and so effortless at the same time. The effort is almost nothing. You simply speak the sentence and fall asleep in it. But the work that happens is immense, because you have handed it to the part of you that actually does the creating. The striving conscious mind was never the creator. It was only ever the planter. The subconscious is the soil and the gardener both. And it works best in the dark, in the quiet, while you sleep. And consider how much evidence you already have for this in your own life. Think of how many times you struggled with a problem all day, pushing and straining to solve it, and got nowhere, and then you slept on it, and woke the next morning with the answer simply there, clear and obvious, as though it had assembled itself overnight. That is the subconscious working in the dark while you rested. You have experienced it countless times without realizing what it meant. The conscious mind hammered at the problem and failed, but the moment you released it and slept, the deep mind solved it effortlessly. Florence taught that this same process that solves problems overnight also arranges circumstances, draws opportunities, and moves your good toward you. The subconscious is not limited to solving puzzles. It is the creative power itself, and it operates by the same law, whether it is finding you an answer or finding you a fortune. You plant the desire, you release it in sleep, and the deep mind goes to work in ways the conscious mind cannot see and could never orchestrate. This is why the wealthy so often speak of waking with ideas, of opportunities appearing as if by luck, of the right person arriving at the right moment. It is not luck. It is the night work of a subconscious that was given the right instruction before sleep and left undisturbed to carry it out. Now, before I give you the remaining 4 pieces, I have to stop and tell you something directly, because everything I have just taught you about the night points to one practical problem that almost nobody solves on their own. The night practice only works if you actually do it every single night, and the truth is that 1 night or 2 nights changes very little. The old patterns were built over years of falling asleep in worry, and they surrender only to a new pattern repeated faithfully until it takes hold. And most people simply cannot sustain it on their own. They do it for a night or 2. They feel something shift, and then they forget. They fall back into the old habit of falling asleep in fear. This is exactly the problem I built the Overflow Covenant to solve. It is a 21-day sequence where one short Florence Shinn decree lands in your inbox every single morning. You carry it through your day, and you speak it again as you fall asleep. And it builds the night practice into your life, one day at a time, for 21 days straight, which is the span it takes for falling asleep in abundance to become automatic. You do not have to remember. You do not have to rely on willpower. The decree is simply there, guiding you into the right state every night. It is $27, one payment, no app to install, no platform to log into, just your inbox every morning for 21 mornings. And there is a 30-day full refund, so the risk is entirely mine. The link is in the description. It is called the Overflow Covenant. Begin it tonight, and let the first decree reach you tomorrow morning. Now let me give you the third piece, which is the exact state you must enter as you fall asleep, and why the feeling matters more than the words. Because the words alone are not what does the work. It is the feeling behind them. Florence taught that the subconscious responds to feeling far more than to language. You can recite the most perfect sentence 1,000 times, but if you say it with anxiety, with doubt, with the underlying feeling that it is not true, then anxiety and doubt are what you impress. The feeling is the real message. The words are only the carrier. So as you say the night sentence, you must let yourself actually feel it. You must enter the feeling of already having received your good, the quiet satisfaction of one whose prayer is already answered. This is what Neville and Florence both pointed to, the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You do not beg for the thing as you fall asleep. You give thanks for it as though it is already yours. You feel the relief, the gratitude, the calm certainty of one who already has, and you carry that feeling across the threshold of sleep, because that feeling, impressed on the open subconscious all night long, becomes the new assumption from which your reality is drawn. The words point the direction, but the feeling is what gets planted, and a word planted with the feeling of fulfillment grows into the fulfillment itself. And let me give you a way to find this feeling, even when your life does not yet match it, because this is the obstacle most people hit. They try to feel wealthy while staring at an empty account, and the feeling will not come. It feels like lying. So here is what Florence understood. You do not have to manufacture the feeling about the money directly. You reach for the feeling of relief, the feeling of a burden lifted, the feeling you would have if you knew, truly knew, that everything was going to be all right. Think of a time in your life when you were worried about something and then received the news that it was resolved. Remember that wash of relief, that loosening in your chest, that quiet gratitude. That is the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and you can summon it by remembering it. You bring up that remembered relief, and you attach it to your good as you fall asleep. You are not lying, you are borrowing a real feeling you have genuinely felt before and placing it on the thing you now desire. The subconscious does not know the difference between a feeling about the past and a feeling about the future. It simply receives the feeling and goes to work producing more circumstances that match it. So when the direct feeling of wealth will not come, reach for the universal feeling of relief and fulfillment, and let that be what you carry into sleep. And let me give you one more key about feeling that Florence emphasized again and again. The feeling must be in the present, not the future. Most people feel their wish as something distant, something that would feel good if it ever happened, and that future feeling keeps the wish forever in the future. But the night practice requires you to feel the wish as fulfilled now, in this moment. As you lie in bed, you must drop the sense that the good is coming, and take up the sense that the good is here, that it is already done, already yours, already received, and you give thanks for it as a present reality. This shift from future longing to present gratitude is the entire difference between a practice that works and one that does not. The subconscious takes your present feeling as the truth and builds your world to match it. So if your present feeling each night is one of lack and longing, it builds lack. But if your present feeling each night is one of fulfillment and gratitude, it builds fulfillment. You must feel it done, now, tonight, as you fall asleep. The fourth piece is why you must let go completely once you have planted the word, and not lie awake, trying to force the result. Because this is where most people sabotage the entire practice. They speak the sentence, they begin to feel it, and then they immediately start straining, checking, wondering when it will work, scanning their mind for evidence, and all of that anxious effort slams the door shut again. The subconscious cannot work on the word if the conscious mind keeps yanking it back to inspect it. This is like planting a seed and then digging it up every hour to see if it has grown. The digging kills it. What Florence taught instead is the art of letting go. You plant the word, you feel the fulfillment, and then you release it completely. You let yourself sink into sleep with no anxiety about the outcome, trusting that the work is being done. This releasing is itself an act of faith. It is the demonstration that you truly believe the good is already yours. Because we do not anxiously chase the things we are certain of, we rest in them. So the deepest skill of the night practice is the surrender, the complete letting go into sleep, trusting the unseen process. And that trust is itself part of what makes it work. And there is a deeper spiritual principle underneath this letting go that is worth understanding. The act of releasing your desire into sleep is the purest expression of faith there is, because faith is not the same as anxious hoping. Anxious hoping is actually a form of doubt. It is the constant checking, the worried wondering, the inability to rest, that reveals you do not truly believe the thing is yours. Real faith is the opposite. It is the quiet ability to let the matter go because you are certain it is handled. Think of how you trust that the sun will rise tomorrow. You do not lie awake anxiously hoping it will rise. You do not check every hour through the night. You simply know it, and that knowing lets you sleep in peace. This is the faith Florence pointed to, the faith that lets you plant your word and then sleep soundly, untroubled, because you know the work is being done. And here is the beautiful paradox. This very letting go, this peaceful release, is itself part of what causes the manifestation, because the anxious, grasping energy of doubt repels, while the calm, released energy of faith allows. When you release your desire into sleep with genuine peace, you are demonstrating the faith that permits the good to come, and when you clutch at it anxiously through the night, you are demonstrating the doubt that holds it away. So the letting go is not just a technique for better sleep. It is the very act of faith that opens the door. The fifth piece is the exact night protocol, the precise sequence to follow as you lie down. And the precision matters. First, once you are lying in bed and the lights are out, you let your body grow still and your breathing slow. You do not begin until you feel yourself starting to drift. That drowsy state on the edge of sleep is the most receptive state of all. It is the doorway. Second, in that drowsy state, you speak the sentence slowly, inwardly, with feeling. I receive my good as I sleep. The night is doing the work. My word is my wand. You do not say it mechanically. You let each phrase carry the feeling of already having. Third, you choose one simple scene that represents your wish already fulfilled, a brief imagined moment that implies the good has already come, and you replay that short scene gently as you drift, feeling its reality. Fourth, you let the scene and the sentence dissolve as sleep takes you. You do not fight to stay awake. You do not strain to hold the image. You simply let go and let sleep carry the word into the deep mind. This is the whole protocol. Grow still. Speak the sentence in the drowsy state. Replay one short scene of fulfillment and dissolve into sleep, repeated night after night. This is what builds the new pattern and lets the night do its work. And let me say more about the short scene you choose, because this is the most powerful and most misunderstood part of the protocol. Florence and Neville both taught that the imagination is the actual creative faculty, that what you imagine vividly and feelingly tends to become your reality, but the scene must be constructed correctly. It must not be a scene of you wishing for the thing or trying to get the thing. It must be a scene that implies the thing is already yours, already done, already received. For example, if you desire money, you do not imagine yourself praying for money or worrying about money. You imagine a brief moment that could only be true if the money had already come. Perhaps the feeling of paying a bill with ease, perhaps a friend congratulating you, perhaps the quiet satisfaction of looking at your account and feeling secure. The scene must be short, simple, and saturated with the feeling of fulfillment. A single moment that your mind can replay easily as you drift. And you do not watch this scene like a movie on a screen in front of you. You enter it. You experience it from the inside as though it is happening to you now. You feel it with your senses. And then as sleep takes you, you let it fade naturally. You are giving the subconscious a clear picture of the end, the wish already fulfilled, and the subconscious will work through the night to make your outer world match the inner scene you fell asleep inside of. And this nightly protocol is exactly what the Overflow Covenant is designed to make effortless. Because knowing the protocol and actually following it faithfully every night are two very different things. The decree arrives each morning to set your direction, and it becomes the natural sentence you carry into sleep that night. So the morning planting and the night sealing are connected into one unbroken practice, and the daily delivery removes the single greatest obstacle, the forgetting. You never have to wonder what to say or whether you remembered. It is simply there, guiding you into the right state morning and night for 21 days until the entire rhythm becomes second nature. The sixth piece is the contrarian truth that doing less at night accomplishes more than all your daytime striving, and this inverts everything the world has taught you about success. The world says, work harder, push more, strive longer. But Florence taught that the most powerful creative act available to you happens not in striving, but in the surrendered moments before sleep, when you stop trying and simply plant a word in faith. The person who strains all day and falls asleep in worry is working endlessly and creating nothing but more of the same. But the person who moves calmly through the day and falls asleep in the feeling of the wish fulfilled is doing almost nothing and creating everything, because they have aligned themselves with the way creation actually works, through the subconscious, in rest, in surrender, in the night. This does not mean you do nothing in your waking hours. It means you stop believing that strain is what creates. The creation happens in the depths while you sleep. Your waking action becomes the natural response to the new state, rather than a desperate attempt to force a result. The wealthy learn to let the night do the heavy lifting, and they wake to act on the opportunities the night arranged. Doing less, in the right way, accomplishes more than all the striving in the world. And I want to address the resistance you may feel to this idea, because it runs so counter to everything you have been taught that part of you may reject it. You have been told your whole life that money comes from hard work, from hustle, from relentless effort, and here I am, telling you that the real creation happens in surrender, in rest, in the moments before sleep, and that doing less in the right way accomplishes more. This sounds almost irresponsible, almost too easy, and that very feeling is what keeps most people trapped in endless striving. But consider the evidence around you. Consider how many people work themselves to exhaustion their entire lives and never become wealthy if hard work alone created wealth. Every exhausted laborer would be rich. Clearly something else is at work. And consider how often wealth seems to flow to those who have learned to operate from a calm, expectant, almost effortless state, who seem to attract opportunities rather than chase them. Florence taught that these people have aligned themselves with the actual law of creation, which works through consciousness, through assumption, through the subconscious, not through strain. This does not make you lazy. You will still act, but your action will come from inspiration rather than desperation, from a settled knowing rather than anxious grasping, and action taken from that state is effortless and effective, while action taken from desperation is exhausting and fruitless. And notice that the people who most need this are often the ones who resist it hardest, the exhausted, the struggling, the ones who have tried everything through sheer effort and are tired to their bones. They have been taught that to rest is to fail, that to stop striving is to give up, and so the very idea of creating through surrender feels threatening to them. But it is precisely these people, the ones who have proven that endless effort does not work, who have the most to gain from learning that the deep mind creates in rest. The night practice is how you enter the settled state. You fall asleep in fulfillment. You wake in expectation, and you move through your day as someone for whom the good is already assured. Here is the whole picture. There is one Florence Shinn sentence you can say before sleep that lets you wake with your good already moving toward you. And it works because the moments before sleep are when the subconscious lies open and receptive. You plant the word in the drowsy state, with the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You replay one short scene of fulfillment, and you surrender completely into sleep, letting the deep mind do the work all night long. You stop falling asleep in worry and start falling asleep in abundance, and night after night the new pattern takes hold, until waking in expectation becomes your natural state. Every part of this is available to you starting tonight. The sentence has been given, the protocol has been explained, and the only thing required is that you actually do it as you fall asleep. And I want to leave you with one final thought about why this matters so much. You spend roughly a third of your entire life asleep, and for most people that immense stretch of time is wasted, or worse, spent impressing fear and lack into the deep mind night after night. But you have just learned to reclaim that third of your life, to turn your sleep from wasted hours into the most productive and creative time you have. Imagine what changes when every single night becomes a planting of abundance instead of a rehearsal of fear. When the third of your life spent sleeping is finally working for you instead of against you. This is not a small adjustment. It is a fundamental reclaiming of the most powerful and most neglected hours you possess. The night was always meant to instruct you, to counsel you, to work for you, as the verse said. Your rains instruct you in the night seasons, and tonight you begin to let the night do what it was always meant to do. Before we close, I have to be direct with you one final time. The reason most people never transform their nights is not that they lack the sentence, it is that they cannot sustain the practice on their own. They forget. They slip back into old worry. The pattern never takes hold. This is the entire reason the Overflow Covenant exists. To place a fresh Florence Shinn decree in your inbox every single morning for 21 days, so the night practice is guided and reinforced. So the new pattern actually takes hold, so the nights actually change. You can find it at the link in the description. 21 mornings, 1 decree each day, $27, 30-day full refund. Remember that the night belongs to you, that these hours of sleep are yours to use, and that the simple act of falling asleep in the feeling of your good, already received, is the most powerful, and most effortless practice available to any person on earth. So speak the sentence with me one final time before you go. I receive my good as I sleep. The night is doing the work. My word is my wand. Hold that, and tonight as you lie down and feel yourself drifting, let this be the last thing you carry into sleep, and wake tomorrow to a world that has been working for you all night long,